Not make it live at all yesterday. Um, Good morning, Kathy. I do not have a match reservation at 12 o'clock. I don't know why. I don't know why TikTok is scheduling matches for me because I don't really do the match thing, but whatever TikTok. So I don't have any like set parameters for today. I just have a lot of things that I do want to share with you guys. Hey, coolest mom ever. And a lot of things that I do want to talk about. Hey, Sue. Hey, Win Dixie. Hey, Yari. Hey, Space Ranger. I hope you guys are doing well. Um, yeah, so a lot to talk about today. I didn't make it live at all yesterday. I've had some doctor's appointments the last couple of days, and I was just exhausted yesterday. Hey, Carmen. I need to check on that. Good morning, Sue. Hey, Win Dixie. Yeah. Yesterday was just a lot, and then I slept, and I slept a lot yesterday. Actually, I woke up to eat. Thought I was going to wake up, eat, and then do some work, and then I woke up, ate, and went back to sleep. Good morning, M. Tom. Good to see you over there on the tube of you. Hey, Neuro Mama. So I'm really glad to see everybody popping in here this Saturday morning, and let's see how this works. It is a day of action, and we are going to talk about some of that as well. Coolest mom ever, we are. Hey, Conchita. However, one of the things that I went down a little bit of a not a rabbit hole, but definitely like further back into history yesterday. I don't know, in between appointments and places where I had to go and things that I had to get done. And so, hey, Jen Yaya, good to see you. And so I want to share some of the things that I discovered. Hey, Witchy, yeah, I'm good. I want to share some of the things that I discovered yesterday. Some of it just kind of expounded upon some knowledge that I already had. Some of it was brand new information to me. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Blue Honey Pot. But a lot of it is really important. And I can't get over, good morning, Penny GF. I can't get over how interconnected all of the things are. Wrong account. Yeah, I figured. I figured which. So let me just level set for a minute and let you all know kind of the subject matter for today. Because we are going to be going into a lot of the things that directly impact you right now in the States, right? I do want to have a conversation about Congress. I do want to have a conversation about, our health benefits and things like that, and housing. I do want to talk about badass mom Dani today a little bit. Um, I wish that he had been born in the United States of America so that he could have a run at being the president. But yeah, that's not meant for this timeline, I guess. Hey, sunflower fish. But it is what it is. I definitely love the fact that he is leading by example. Good morning, Veronica. So, um, good morning, Lisby. So a couple of things, folks. If you could do me a favor and make sure that you are following 4 guidelines that I have in this room. Okay, I have four guidelines that I ask for. Hello, witch. And I ask that people be respectful. I ask that you do not use slurs of any kind. I don't care if they're towards the left or to the right, or however if you use a slur, you'll be booted from my live. It's just that simple. And then I ask you not to spam the comments because it's just not fruitful, right? If you say the same thing over and over and over again, nobody can see it, nobody can hear it. We can't have a good conversation. And so it's just not beneficial. And then last, don't type in all caps. And the reason why is because all caps are reserved for my folks that are vision impaired and my moderators. Okay. Good morning, Auntie Tinker. Good to see you. What's up, Blue Honey Pot? I think I said hi to you already, but I'm not sure. All right. So, I want to say either yesterday morning or the day before, I'm really not even sure at this point because there's been so much interaction, especially on threads, because of this post that I put up. Okay. And this post that I put up the post that I put up said, repeat after me, criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitic, right? Or, yeah. And then I said, Jews live all around the world. Jewish people live all around the world. Something to that effect is what I said, right? And there was a myriad of responses to that, and there were people that were you understood it. I love that, Rudin, because I didn't think that it was controversial. I thought it was pretty succinct. I thought it said exactly what I wanted it to say. But there were lots of people that wanted to add to or take away from what I said. And people, I think, were looking for something that just simply wasn't there. And it took me down this path where I really wanted to dig in a little bit deeper and to figure out some things. Right. Hey, Wasim, good to see you. Hey, Carrie. Yeah, to me it was just pretty like straightforward. Myriad, it means there was a multitude of things. There was a variety of responses that people gave me. Yeah. Yeah, I missed you guys too. Like I said, I had doctor's appointments Thursday and yesterday. Um, so listen, folks, if you are part of Project for the People, then today is the day for us to be sharing information. This is part of me doing that as well. So, okay, just bear with me, folks, too, if my voice sounds a little hoarse or a little scratchy. Nothing really that I can do about that at the moment. Okay. So, I had people that responded to me a lot of different ways. And there were people, hey, Burke, good to see you. There were people that, I'm going to turn this light up for me. Okay, there, that's better. And there were people that were just looking for something that wasn't there. And there were people that said, oh no, um, it was lovely, or did you mean lonely, Pat? I'm not sure, but it's okay. I am back. I am back. So it ran me down this path of really looking into kind of the things that people were saying, and what people. I know you meant lonely. It's all good. It's all good. Um, but it took me down this path of really wanting to dig in and have a conversation about some of these things and go back even a little bit further than we have been in this conversation, right? um, and so good morning, Jamie. Good morning, Sin. Good to see you. And so I really want to dig in. You guys, feel free to chime in if you are someone that knows information about these things. Hey, from my corner, if you are someone who has, hey, Adeline, good to see you this morning. If you are someone that has, thought about this or looked into this or have any additional knowledge, feel free to chime in. Okay. Because I want this to be as robust a discussion as possible. And I do have a lot of things that I want to share with you all as we kind of go down this path. And I'm not sure whether it's best to start in the present and then go back. But I think that's the way that I'm going to do it. Okay. So there is this effort to make any criticism of Israel as somehow a criticism of Jewish people and who they are, or even their right to exist, right? And I'm not sure why that's an effort, other than it works to their advantage. And when I say their advantage, I mean Israel. Okay. So when I ask myself, who does it benefit for this to be the rhetoric? Who's the beneficiary if any criticism of the country of Israel, the state of Israel, the government of Israel, the leadership of Israel, who benefits from that? Right? If the attempt is to attach them to Jewish identity and Jewish people, who benefits? And obviously it's Israel. Good morning, Aline, right? Israel is who benefits, because everyone understands that no one wants to be seen as someone who criticizes Jewish people because of the H cost, right? And so there's always this sentiment around. Good morning, Abu Siraj. There's always this sentiment around you don't want to be one of those people, because Jewish people have always been picked on and ostracized, and there was an H cost and all of this. And so let me just say this. Here's what I believe about that. I believe that we should not want to pick on any group of people. And I also know that there are other groups of people that have been ostracized and that have been had an H cost committed against them and had been discriminated against and been non-citizens. And the question for me is, why is it only we only do this for this one particular group of people? Why is it? Right? Because what we know is that there's been an H cost committed against Africans, right? We know that it happened in the Congo, right? Under King Leopold II. We understand that. So why is it that criticism of Africa isn't seen as something that is horrible? Why is it that criticism of Black people isn't automatic? Do you understand what I'm saying? When people talk about Africa and people are demeaning or they criticize African leaderships, right? Share with me why that is different than when we talk about Jewish people, right? And so so give me 1 second. Hold on, guys. um, Give me 1 sec. So I went down this path and really wanted to kind of because Abu Faraj, you are tickling me already this morning. Don't you start with me, sir. But okay, but so check this out. I think I told you all, and Abu Faraj, I know that you were not here the other day when I talked about this. But so check this out. So the other day, you all know the guy, Hamza. Is it yes? Oh my God, I can't remember his last name. But you know hey Wes, how are you? You know the guy Hamza who gets on like the internet and he talks to people in Israel all the time, and he's from Palestine but he lives in the US, and like he always, you know what I'm talking about? So, okay, so I was like, I want to do that because I don't have a lot of opportunities to talk to Israeli people. I just don't. Even on this app. On this app, I might get a chance to talk to, yeah, he talks to Israelis, Sarah, in Israel. He's even talked to like folks in the IDF. He talks to kids, whatever. He talks to whatever. The person in the middle is you. The person in the middle is you. Because all of these things have an impact on you. You guys can't see the graphic that they can see over here. Let me put it up for you. Salam Rwand. And so anyway, so I decided that this was something that I wanted to do. So I hopped up there and started to and was like, because it automatically randomly picks somebody for you to talk to. And so I ended up speaking with a 19-year-old Israeli young man, and we talked for a while. And we had a really engaging conversation, right? We had a really engaging conversation. And the things that I respected about this young Israeli boy was, man, he's a young man, he's 19. He actually said to me, he said, 80% of the Israelis that you talk to, if you stay on this app and you do this, 80% of the people that you speak to are not going to have the same views I do. He said he even asked me, he said, do you know what Hasbara is? And I said, I've heard the term. And so he told me what it was. And he said, these are the talking points that they push. And this is what most people in Israel are going to say to you. And so I appreciated the conversation that he and I had. And we kind of, we gave each other like gentle pushes, right? Back and forth. But you know, when we were talking, one of the things that he said, he was talking about, he mentioned the H cost. And I said, but hold on a second. All of this was before the H cost ever happened. This is before the H cost happened, right? When we talk about the Sykes-Picot Agreement, when we talk about the Balfour Declaration, when we talk about all of those things, the H cost had not occurred. And he said to me, yeah, but there were pogroms. And I've heard this term before. How many of you all have heard about pogroms that existed in Europe? Pogroms, pogroms. Nope. Okay, great. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Um, but I want to, you did, Rudin. Great. I love this. So we are gonna, it was mostly a Russian thing. You got it right. Yep, that word, sin. You got it. And so listen, he was saying, yeah, but there were pogroms. And it was a term that I'd heard like once or twice before, but not really in depth, right? And so it was basically the discrimination against Jewish people in Europe. It was Jews were not considered citizens. They were considered like lower class people. They couldn't get citizenship. They couldn't hold certain jobs. They couldn't go to certain schools. They couldn't do all of these different things. Now, can you imagine my first thought when I read that? I'm going to get there, Linda. Hold on. Like, we're going to go all the way through. I got it. But listen, it's important for us to know exactly, obviously, guys, I'm going to get there, but you got to let me get there. Y'all got to let me get there. I need to connect a few dots. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Answers for you. It reminded me of Black people in the United States of America. It reminded me, right. I understand that they were violent. I understand that pogroms were violent. I understand that. So was the enslavement of of Africans in the United States. Yes, Cam, it is. Right. So when we talk about, yes, they were violent, yes, they were horrible towards Jewish people. Yes, all of that is true. And it reminded me as soon as I was reading what it entailed, right? And the basically the dehumanizing of Jewish people in Europe, especially in Russia and places, right? It reminded me of Blacks in the United States of America. It just did. Like many of the things were the same. Like there was a law that was listen, they wanted them to mark themselves, right? They whether it was like a yellow or a blue ribbon or whatever. Good morning, Valerie. They wanted Jewish people to mark themselves because they did not want Europeans to have sex with Jews, to procreate with them, to date them, to marry them, to any of those things, right? And I especially can understand that concept because I'm biracial. My parents had to get married in Washington D.C. in 1964 because it was illegal to do so everywhere in the United States of America, right? And so I get it. Pogroms, however you pronounce it, was horrible. Got that. Still not connected to Palestine because Palestinians weren't in Russia, right? No, I already gave you one, Chris. I already gave you one. It's the nation state law, 2018. And I don't owe you anything ever in this life. I might be kind enough to give you an example of what you asked me for, but I don't ever owe you anything, just to be clear. So, okay, so let me keep going. Right, Valerie, they marked the slaves in the United States of America. All right, so now here we go. You ready? No, you don't get to distract me. So you can either hush and listen to the conversation. And then when I invite conversation, talk about what we're talking about, or you'll be muted simply because you're trying to be a distraction. And I'm not doing that right now. We're talking about something. Appreciate it. Okay. So as soon as I heard it, that's what it reminded me about. It reminded me of enslaved Africans here in the United States and Black people in the United States throughout history. And so my immediate thought was, well, what makes the marking and the discriminating and the violence towards Jewish people any different than the markings and the violence and the discrimination towards Black people? Why does this one group of people get to be special over everyone else? Why doesn't the H cost of 13 million Congolese people matter to the world? We have a whole museum about 6 million Jewish people. I would like to know why we don't have something that talks about the 13 million Congolese people that were also sacrificed, right? So it's one of those things where I'm automatically going, okay, I got it. And when you say to me, well, this horrible thing happened to us in Europe. So do you want to know my first question? Well, who did the horrible thing and why? Did you hear me? Who did the horrible thing and why? And do you know what group of people were responsible for the pogroms? What group of people actually made the laws and created the pogroms against the Jewish people? But there's a specific thing about them. There you go, Blue Honey Pot. It was Christians. It was Christians. It was specifically because Christians believed that they should not mingle with Jewish people, that they should not procreate with them, they should not marry them, they should not whatever. And I thought, well, damn, there's another similarity. Right? I literally was like, well, there's another similarity. What I know for sure is it wasn't Palestinians and it wasn't Muslims. The violence perpetrated against Jewish people in Russia and in Europe was committed by European white Christians. I'm just making I just want us to talk about what we know the facts to be. Yeah, so Chris, it doesn't have to be news. You understand that that's not the way that education works? Education isn't about breaking news. Education is about exploring the things that we know that exist within history and identifying how they go together or how they correlate and what are the points of intersectionality and all of those different things. Yeah, this isn't breaking news. If you're looking for that, go follow someone else. So again, um, yeah, I don't care what Chris is. Chris just wants to try to be a distraction and it's not going to work. Um, right, Sarah. So textbook stuff, convince people the foe is, yeah, right. So, um, so Abu Siraj, you mean the Israeli guy that I was talking to? Right. Okay. So I talked about our conversation that we had the other day on my live, like the very next day, and he even joined me on YouTube. Right. So here are some things that so remember he's 19 and he's Israeli. For those of you guys that maybe are just joining, I spoke at length with an Israeli young man who's 19 years old the other day on a I don't know, a website where you can speak with people all around the world. And so he was the first Israeli person that I was randomly matched with. And he said, yeah, no, definitely not Tinder. And so when we first started talking, he kind of joked and he said, he said, you're not the usual, what did he say? You're not the usual target audience. And I said, probably not. And I said, but I saw this particular site being used by someone else to talk to Israelis. And I said, in the last 8 months, I have learned a lot about Palestine and about the history and all of those things. And I don't get an opportunity when I'm on social media to talk to Israelis. I just don't. I might get the opportunity to talk to Zionists, but not Israelis. And so, and he was like, "Yeah." He said, let's talk." He said, "I'm happy to have a conversation, right?" Good morning, Jay Nice. And so I asked him, I said, I don't really understand. I don't know what you all think. I said, because over here, Israel, Palestine, Iran, all of it is a really heavy topic over here. And he said, yeah, it is here too. He said, it is here too. People talk about it a lot. And I said, and I'm learning a lot. I said, I have the opportunity to talk to Palestinians a lot. Very rarely do I get to talk to an Israeli. And I said, so can you help me understand from your perspective what, you know, what this is about, this whole, Israel and Gaza and Palestine. And you could see his face get sad. He literally said, this whole war makes me sad. He said, he said, I understand that, he said, I understand that, that the H organization attacked us on October 7th. And, and we were fighting back. He said, and I said, okay, I hear you. And I said, but does that include like the babies? Does that include, do you believe that 75,000 people is a proportionate response to what happened on October 7th? And he said to me, no, I don't. And I said, okay, so let me ask you this. What do you feel about what's happening in the West Bank? And he said to me, I don't agree with what's happening in the West Bank. I believe that we should leave the West Bank and give it to the Palestinians. And that surprised me, right? The fact that this is a 19-year-old Israeli young man saying to me, I don't agree with what we're doing in the West Bank. I think that we should get out of the West Bank because it belongs to the Palestinians. I was like, wow. And so he said, now, Chris, not to type in all caps. So don't do that again. Good morning, Shantae. And so as we're talking, what did he say to me? He said, this is what I asked him. I said, so let me ask you this question. I said, so what do you get taught in school? What do you get taught in school? Like, do they teach you about the Balfour Declaration? Do you learn about the Nakba? And he actually said, well, we know about the Balfour Declaration. He said, but of course we don't call the Nakba because that's the only name I know it by. And he was like, no, we don't call it the Nakba. And I said, so what do you all call it? And he said, well, it's kind of like, he said, and I guess like the very next day after we talked was going to be their Independence Day. And he said that to me. He said, well, tomorrow is our celebration of it. He said, we call it independence. And I said, independence from who? That's literally what I said. I said, but independence from who? Like you didn't belong to anybody. Like nobody was, because he said, it's like y'all's independence. And I said, but our independence was from the British. So who were you? Good morning, Queen Law. I said, so I said, but independence from who? And he was like, well, just, our return home. And I said, well, that's another thing that confuses me because you talk about your return back to quote unquote, your homeland. And I said, but you all considered like Israel was proposed to be in several different places before Palestine was settled upon, right? You guys looked at Uganda, which I've since learned was a lot of it was actually what is Kenya today. I said, so, it was considered happening in Uganda. It was considered for Argentina. It was considered for even part of New York. And I said, so I guess what I'm not clear on is if the driving force was to go back to what you considered to be your homeland, why did you all have the proposals for Uganda? Why did you have the proposals for Argentina? Why did you have the proposals for New York if the desire was to get back to your homeland, right? That was the question that I asked. And he said, well, those things were never seriously considered. And I said, well, how do you know that? Because there were actually full-on proposals about these things, right? There was conversations. And actually, so last night when I went digging, right? When I went digging into these things, give me a second. I even downloaded last night. I want to print them, but I won't be printing them because it's really long. I actually downloaded the entire diary of Theodore Herzl so that I could read kind of in his words what he said and what his ideas were. But give me 1 second. I need to pull up this other part that I had. So give me 1 second. Is this the one I want? Okay, so all right, so I'm on a website called Jewish Action. Okay, and I'm just going to read a little bit and share with you kind of what it says. Okay, and so it says that starting in 1895, the British East Africa Protectorate, because the British are involved in all of this. The British are involved in every bit of this, just so everyone understands. Okay. Um, so starting in 1895, the British East Africa Protectorate, called Kenya since the 1920s, was administered by the British Foreign Office, but development of the region was stagnant due to a lack of European settlers. So in December of 1902, Chamberlain, then the British colonial secretary, visited the protectorate, and he conceived of the notion of offering it to the Jews and proposed his idea to Herzl in April and then again in May 1903. By August of that year, just before the Sixth Zionist Congress, the British Zionist talks seemed to have borne fruit. And on Sunday, August the 23rd, 1903, Herzl stunned the nearly 600 delegates of the Sixth Zionist Congress with his proposal to settle Jews in East Africa. The proposal led to heated, often acrimonious debate among both the Zionist and the East African settlers. And it spawned numerous articles, editorials, and letters in the Anglo and the Jewish press. So part of it was that two of the areas, they were not like in agreement. So it's funny because it's referred to as the Uganda plan, but it wasn't. But it really wasn't Uganda. It was what we know as Kenya. So it says that the region that was offered to the Zionists by Chamberlain remains mired in misinformation. Uganda and the British East Africa Protectorate were both in East Africa and under the control of the British Foreign Office, but they were distinct and they were independent of each other, right? So despite the fact that the latter is wholly in today's Kenya, most textbooks call it the Uganda plan, right? And so it's really, so this is part of, okay, well, you don't get it. And so I told you this was going to happen if you couldn't follow the guidelines. And I gave you like 5 different warnings. So Chris, you're muted because you just typed in all caps again after I just asked you to not do that. And I'm just not here to cater to children. I'm not. I refuse to cater to children. So I'm just not. So this is a note from Chamberlain. So let me just tell you what is in. So Leo Pinsker, right, articulated this in his territorialist position. He says, quote, the goal of our present endeavors must not be the quote unquote Holy Land, but a land of our own. We need nothing but a large piece of land for our poor brothers, a piece of land which shall remain our property, from which no foreign master can expel us. So it wasn't until 1897 that that the stated goal was to create a Jewish home in Palestine secured by public law. But that wasn't what was said prior to that. So prior to 1897, it was, we just need to get a large piece of land that belongs to us, that's created by law, from which nobody can expel us, right? The thing that's important here, though, is Palestinians did not expel Jews. Palestinians didn't create pogroms, right? And for me, one of the things that I see, and I'll bring a couple of folks up if they want to have conversation around this. What I see is an opportunity for the British and Europe to get rid of folks that they don't necessarily want there in the first place, right? And to do it at the expense of someone else. And I think the first place that they chose that belonged to British in East Africa, it was to benefit the Brits, right? So if the Brits had the it was the British protectorate in East Africa, and that land was the Brits, but it wasn't flourishing because of a lack of settlers, then it would work to the Brits' advantage, right? Um, it would work to the Brits' advantage to offer that land to the Jews, right? And so that's what I always saw as an issue, was that was the Brits' way of doing what was best for them. And so, and you will find the Brits to be complicit, and not just complicit, but the drivers in much of this, right? Just like they were in Iran. Right. So yeah, so it is colonialism, but for me, colonialism and Christianity they go hand in hand. They might as well be first cousins, if not fucking twins from the womb, and just in my opinion. So I'm going to pause for just a second. And Ro, I am not familiar with you. You don't have a picture on your profile, so because I want to make sure that the conversations that we have today are productive. Why is that? Why? Well, because colonialism is something that has used Christianity throughout history, right? Christianity has been predominantly behind colonialism in much of the world, right? You look at what's happening in our country today. Christian nationalism is a huge part of it. You look at the things that have happened in Africa. It's Christianity. So historically speaking, Christianity has been used for colonization for a really long time. So, so what I want to say about this conversation, when I bring people up to this panel, the purpose is to have productive conversations that are respectful. I'm just not going to entertain fuckery or disrespect. So I'm just telling everyone that before you request to come up here, that's not what I'm here for today. Okay. So having said that, when I bring you to this panel, you need to put yourself on mute until I get to you, just like what Abu Siraj just did. Right? So just here we go. Put yourself on mute. Cam, you want to go ahead and take Chris out the queue because he's not gracing my panel? That would be amazing. Good morning, Abu Siraj. How are you, friend? Good morning, Mishi.
Good morning, Dani. Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. Dani, I wanted to come up to tell you something, just a warning. Since you are planning to be doing more of these talks with the Israelis, there are two types of Israelis that you might encounter. The type that is not ashamed of showing hatred or attacking the people of Palestine, who consider this land, all of it belongs to them. And the other type is the type that you met, this young man, because even though he is condemning the actions of the IDF against the people of Palestine, but if you ask him, is he willing to do the right thing and leave this country in order to remove himself from the apartheid system, he will tell you no. The thing is that Israel has taken over 81% of the area in Palestine. 81% is under their control. So yeah, you might some of them who are willing, you might meet some of them who are willing to say, you know what, let the Palestinians have the 19%, because he already stole 81%. It wouldn't make a difference for him. But the reality is, why me as a Palestinian, I have accepted the fact that they have taken 81% of my land. Why do I have to live with the 19%? even though they are not leaving the 19% for us in peace, they keep taking and taking more land. Even a couple of days ago, Bezalel Smotrich, the Israeli finance minister, came out and said that all of the settlement expansion in the West Bank is carried out with the complete and full support of the American administration. And he named Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Mike Huckabee. He named those three as American officials who support and back the Israeli expansion of settlements. So when you push them, this kind of people, when you talk to them and you push them enough, they're going to reveal themselves, and they will show you that they don't want to leave Palestine. They think that they have the right to maintain control over the 81% that they have taken. And that's a problem in itself. It's not fair.
Yeah. He went on to say, Abu Siraj, to your point, he said that 80% of the people that I talk to are not going to think like he does. He literally said that. And he said, some of them, he said, you're going to talk to some IDF that are going to brag about, unaliving, 20 babies and graping people and whatever. And so when I asked him this too, I said, because you're 19, are you going to have to serve in the IDF? And he said to me, he said, yes. And he said, and I had serious concerns about that, before. And he said, so I asked lots of questions. And he said, and so this is the place that I just come down to. He said, I will serve in the IDF. He said, and what I've just determined is that if I'm asked to do something that goes against my values, I'm willing to go to prison to not do those things. And that's what he said. He said, I am just willing to go to prison. And I thanked him for at least, being that. And he's 19, you know what I mean? So to at least be where he is incredible, to have been born and raised in Israel, right? So he did say that. And then the other thing that he said, go ahead, Abu Saraj.
Yeah. So first of all, serving in the IDF, even if you were cooking food for the soldiers who are unaliving us, makes you an accomplice.
Yep.
Even if you are filling the tanks or the jets with the fuel, even if you are helping this system by any means, makes you an accomplice. Yani, you don't have to pull the trigger in order to be an accomplice. Helping the IDF in any way is being an accomplice in the crimes committed against the people of Palestine.
Yep.
So this is the difference of how you can show me that you are genuine about what you believe in. Yesterday, I read an article about an Israeli-Swedish writer who decided to tear down her passport, her Israeli passport, because she cannot be affiliated to Israel anymore. She's ashamed of what the Israelis are doing. Yeah. She no longer wants her passport. I know a lot of Israelis who decided to leave Palestine because they don't want to be part of the occupation. As long as you choose to live on a stolen land, pay taxes for a genocidal government, be active in this system, then that makes you an accomplice. And it requires courage and the bravery to say no and get the fuck out of Palestine. That's what we want them to do, honestly. After everything, Dani, I won't settle for less than that.
I love you so much. And so y'all have to understand, Abu Siraj used to not curse at all. So when I hear Abu Siraj at 9:30 in the morning my time to get the fuck out, it makes me chuckle. Sorry. Because it takes so much for him to be there. So anyway, no, yeah, I totally get it. And and I think for me, and y'all know this about me, what I wanted to do was, so what I wanted to do in that conversation with this young man was to figure out how they think. and what they're taught and all of that. You know what I mean? Because at 19, he certainly didn't. He didn't. He didn't start this mess. And what I wanted to see is exactly kind of where he got to and how he got to the mindset and the beliefs of where he's at. You know what I mean? That was the purpose of the conversation. Things that did interest me, right, was like when I brought up the correspondence, Abu Sarraj, from May 4th of 1948 between the UN and the Secretary of State. When I told him what to, he actually pulled it up on his computer and was reading it. Right, so there were several documents that I showed him that I know he pulled up while we were on the phone. And y'all know me; it's not on the phone, but on the computer. Y'all know me. For me, that's like leaving little breadcrumbs. And what he does with that later, I don't have anything to do with. But I was at least glad that he was willing to take a look at additional information that he'd never heard of, that he'd never known, because he's further along than the majority of the folks, right? And so maybe additional information will be helpful. That was my thought process at the time.
Yeah, I totally understand that, Danny. But in the same time, for me as a Palestinian, if I want to know exactly how the Israeli society think, I would I would look at the statements of the elected officials, because they make statements in order to be elected. People like Smotrich, Ben Gvir, Netanyahu, and Naftali Bennett, Lapid, all of them, they get elected because of their policies and their statements. And they all made genocidal statements against the people of Palestine, which means that the majority of the Israeli society, we're talking about more than 80%, they don't want the Palestinians to stay on this land. That's the truth.
And I hear you. I think the reason I don't stop there is because I know what's happening here. Like in the United States of America, a third of the country, more a third of registered voters didn't even bother to vote. And so people might think that the majority of this country supports the actions and the verbiage of Donald Trump and, Marco Rubio and those people, but it's just not true. It's true that, a third vehemently disagreed and voted for Kamala Harris, and another third may have disagreed or not disagreed, but they didn't vote at all. And so,
Danny, but it's different. Do you know why it's different?
Why?
Because in the US, you just have to turn off the TV not to watch what's happening in Palestine. You don't go through the social media. You don't see anything, and you move on with your life. Some will not care, or maybe they don't know. But for the Israelis, when they move from one settlement to another, they see how the Palestinians are struggling on checkpoints.
Yeah.
They see exactly what the IDF is doing.
Mm-hmm.
They watch, they know it, they see it, and they have chosen to be part of it without doing anything about it. That's the problem.
I hear you.
Because they can see it, like they are in the middle of everything that is happening.
Yeah, and he told me that the vast majority of the country feels that way. He told me that, and he said, just so you know, if you're going to keep talking to people, most people are not like me. And so, I appreciated his honesty in acknowledging that, you know what I mean? And telling me what other people were going to see. I think it was just an opportunity I am super, super grateful for the conversations. And I'm always somebody that is wanting more understanding, even if I don't agree with. So for example, I don't agree with things that a lot of people do, but the fact that I understand it, even for example, people were asking me during the George Floyd riots, right? People were saying things like, "Oh, so you support looting and burning down buildings and blah 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 blah." And I said, so first of all, I am not somebody that's going to burn down a building or loot. However, I do understand the emotions that bring someone to the place where they would do that, right? So I'm not gonna be against them, right? The same way, this is exactly what I said about Hamas. I don't want any innocent life to be taken. And I can't say a thing about what someone does after 80 years, almost 80 years of what Palestinians have endured. I've always said that I can't open my mouth to criticize because I don't know what I would be willing to do after 80 years of what Palestinians have endured. I just don't know because I've not been in that. You know what I mean? Um, and so anyway, that's kind of where that's why the goal for me in the conversations is for me to really get understanding. And it's a perspective that I haven't gotten from anyone else directly. So that was the whole purpose for me, right? Was to have the conversations. Plus it adds to the fact that I'm just not.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not asking you not to have these conversations. I'm just warning you because we have met this type of Israelis. They come to our panels, they go up and they say, yes, two-state solution. But once you push them, they reveal themselves. The thing is, a lot of them, they try to make you feel as if they want to coexist with the people of Palestine, as if they are peaceful. But a lot of them, it's just a mask that they are wearing to make themselves look better. But in fact, like when they talk to the people in their circle, they don't show this kind of sympathy towards Palestinians at all. So that's all. Yeah, I'm trying to warn you.
Yeah.
That you might meet this type of people.
Oh, I'm sure.
Try to push them and you'll see the real face.
Oh, yeah. So, and I'm sure that I will. He said that I was. One other thing that I thought was interesting that he said to me was he said something that we don't see because it's happening within Israel is it's funny. He said that the people in Israel, while they support what the country is doing, they don't like Bibi. He said that the majority of Israelis do not like Bibi Netanyahu. They can't stand him, which I thought was interesting. No, DJK, they're not.
Yeah, the reason is, why do you think that they don't like Bibi Netanyahu? Do you think that they don't like him because he's unaliving Palestinians?
No, that's not it.
Yeah, that's very important. It's not about how he treats Palestinians. They hate him for internal reasons.
Yep.
Regarding their community and Bibi. But when it comes to dealing with Palestinians, the majority of them support everything he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them might believe that he's not doing enough.
Yep.
They want him to do more.
Yep. And that's what he said. He said it has nothing to do with Palestine. It has to do with things that he's doing within the country. And that's why people don't like him. But it's not about Palestine, which I thought he said that before October 7th, he said that I think he said it was Bibi's brother that started a media outlet. And that media outlet is all like pro Bibi all the time. And Bibi calls all the other networks, all the other radio stations, he calls them fake news. And then he said that I want to say their largest radio station or whatever that Bibi shut down or something. So it's like very similar to what Trump tries to do here, right? State-run media. But I think he said it's his brother. And it just reminded me of what Trump is trying to do here. Yep. And that's what he said. So it was interesting. You can stay up here, Abu Saj. Let me get to MRA. Good morning, MRA. How are you? MRA, you're on mute. Do you know that? MRA, I sent you an invitation to come off mute. MRA, going once, going twice. Nope. Okay. So the other thing that, before I bring up anybody else, not Chris coming back. Chris, give it up. It's not happening, bro. Chris, you could literally like say Jesus is with me, and I'd be like, nah, I talk to Jesus straight up. I don't need your help. So it's not gonna happen. Yeah, Susie, give me one more second. I'll bring you up. Um, okay, so one of the things so this caused me to go digging even more, right? Because I really wanted to try to I want to know the historical pieces. And for me, I want to know historical pieces absent of someone's religious belief, right? Absent of someone's religious belief. And so that's when I got back into more of the first Zionist World Congress that was created, their first organization and the meetings that they have. And then I was interested in, I know, Muhammad OS. And then I was interested in who all participated in that. Because do you all realize that these are, right, I want the whole context. And so these are Zionists from all around the world that represented, I want to say, 22 different countries, and several of them were Christian Zionists that came. And again, you have to ask yourself, so what is this about? What is this about? And I still come back to what makes Jews more important or more special than Africans? What is it? Because the same things have happened, actually, like just the one G side. We're not even talking about the Atlantic slave trade. We're not even getting into the transatlantic slave trade. We're not even getting into that. If I just stop in the Congo under King Leopold II and the 13 million Congolese people, right? Where he committed an Holocaust against those people. If I just stop there, that is more than double the number of Jews in the Holocaust, right? So what I need to understand, what I want to understand is, what is the difference between those two things? Why does the world capitulate around this one group of people and not everyone else? Do me a favor, 6264, please don't type in all caps. Good morning, Red Pen. And so I'm going to share with you what I came to. So what I saw, and Susie, I'm going to bring you up in just a second, is what I saw was after they put into their constitutions in Europe the equality of all people. Well, I just ask you not to do that. After they put that into the Constitution, and there was supposedly like this emancipation of Jewish people, where they could own their own land and they could go to school and they could work certain positions and things like that. A couple of things that I read was that this is when a lot of Jewish people went into certain positions like banking and finance and politics, which it's interesting that many of the Jewish people back then, their political aligning was around Marxism, socialism, liberalism, which I found that piece to be very interesting, which I want to dive into that a little bit more, right? But then the Christians then got upset because they thought that there was an overrepresentation of Jewish people in positions that were designated for Christian people previously, right? Again, I can't help but see the parallels between like even the rhetoric today around jobs with immigrants and US citizens, and the rhetoric between when Black people couldn't have certain jobs, right, in this country, in the United States of America. Like I just see the same pattern everywhere. And the things that I see that are the commonality are two things. They are white and Christian. That's what I see most of the time. And so if I am white and Christian in Europe, and that's what I believe is the issue, then I'm going to be on board with Zionism because that gets you out of my country. And then you become somebody else's problem. Like that's just what I see. And then when you understand that what Herzl did was really smart, right? What Herzl did was really smart. He was an editor, he was a playwright, he was a journalist type individual. And he saw the financial backing of the Rothschilds and people like that, right? Right? And he got it. So if you have the folks that are now the banks that are making the actual loans to the governments that are building up their governments, right? And those are the people that are now financing your mission. Doesn't pretty much everybody that they've loaned the money to for their governments have to participate in the Zionism to some degree? Like, that's the other question. So when I think what's the thing that makes it different besides the race, besides the religion? It's the money. It's always the money, honey, right? That's where I come down to. For the person in the chat that's talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center, what I would say to you is that is not the topic of today. I don't know if you're a bot or a real person, but you will be muted. Okay. All right. Let me see what else we got. Give me 1 second, folks. I don't know. User 4553, can you share with me what you want to talk about? I just want to make sure that like you're like a real person. Yeah, so Mr. Mondo, we can talk about that. We can talk about that because what they refused to sell them, though, was Palestine. They refused to sell them Palestine. Good morning, Nick and Vanessa. But we can talk about that too. Like I said, I dug in quite a bit. No, I would say money, because if we're talking about resources, the resources are mostly in Africa and then North Africa and the Middle East, right? So the resources aren't in Europe, right? So like the money is about, because we're talking about Zionism specifically. We're not talking about why did European countries, why did the West go into Africa and the Middle East and try to take over different parts or whatever. Like, that's always been about the money and the resources, right? But we're specifically talking about what would have motivated European countries and countries around the world to get behind this idea of Zionism. Like, that's what we're talking about. So yeah,
Did
Susie.
you know that the movement started back in the early 1900s in Europe to create a state where all the Zionists could flee to Palestine, and they started to set that situation up back then prior to World War II?
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes back into the late 1800s, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this has been a movement and a way of thinking and a way of trying to get other superpowers behind this economically for so much longer than the American public has been taught or talked about. So it's not something that just sprung up, since World War II. So this has been something that's been indoctrinated, pushed. There's a lot of power and money behind it.
Yeah, no, yeah, we've talked about, because it has nothing to do with World War II. It has absolutely zero to do with World War II. We have talked about, I do, Shantae. I mean, we've talked about the Sykes-Picot Agreement. We've talked about the agreement that the British made with the Palestinians prior to the Picot Agreement, prior to the Balfour Declaration, prior to all of that. But even going into the 1800s, the late 1800s especially, is when this really became a thing, right? They had already established, they'd begun the political Zionist movement by the late 1800s. Yeah.
And you guys are some smart people and some educated people, and I want to be with you all.
Well, we are here.
What's going down?
Yep, you are more than welcome. We're here. We're usually here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. But I had appointments yesterday, so this is a special Saturday live. And if you are looking for documents around all of those things. If you go to my bio, I have a link that's to my link tree, and it's pretty in depth. So all of those documents reference like the Balfour Declaration and all of those things. They are all in there along with some other things. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
very welcome.
I think that the United States, particularly, and I don't know if that's the topic. I am sorry. I slept in later than I ever have. I had a message and an invite in my inbox in TikTok, and it took me straight to this. And I don't even know exactly who invited me, but whoever did, thank you. But so because I love this conversation, I love that people are talking about it. And I'm sorry if I'm late to the game. I think that what is troubling, and I just jumped on, is that why are so many people backing this and thinking that we have to back this? Is that the topic? Is that like, how did we get to the point where we're backing genocide and backing a country that's actually causing more harm to the world? Is that the overall conversation here?
What I really want people in the United States of America to understand is that every bit of this is all connected, right?
Yes.
Like so last week I actually did a segment that was specifically about why is Israel so special to the United States of America, right? And so in that conversation, I had gone digging because what I wanted to see was what was the commonality. Well, we haven't always backed Israel, and so that's what I need people to understand. We didn't. Prior to World War I, we weren't really part of the whole Zionist whatchamajigger. That wasn't a thing for us. Now, what had happened prior to that is we had the Rothschilds and their banking system, okay? And a gentleman by the name of August, he was one of the representatives from, please don't put links in there because TikTok doesn't like links in the chat. It will actually restrict me and tell me that my live is leading people away from here. So don't put links in there, okay? So anyway, this guy, his last name is August. He was on his way to another place via the U.S., right? And what he found was, no worries, what he found was the representatives from the Rothschilds that were in the U.S. Had gone out of business. And so he set up camp there. He actually set up an office on Wall Street. How about that, you guys? And he took it upon himself without even getting permission from the Rothschilds in Europe. He took it upon himself to begin managing their interest in New York at the time. And so he began to do that. And so they ended up letting him stay here because that's what he was doing. Now, keep in mind, at that time, what's really wild is, so the Rothschild were giving government loans to the United States of America, but also to Europe and other countries. We gave loans to the United States. The Rothschilds primarily helped build our railway systems here in this country. The very first part of the New York subway system was built because of the Rothschilds here in this country. So when you understand that they had heavy investment in this country. So by the time you get to the 1916, 1917 point where World War I has been going on for a minute, it's becoming financially burdensome for the British, right? And you have two things happening. There's a Zionist movement that is happening in Europe, and some of the British leadership are Zionists as well. And the Brits are also wanting what? They are wanting money to help fund World War I. And they are hoping that the Rothschilds can convince the U.S. to join World War I, okay? Because it's becoming burdensome and they want to get it over with. So this is November of 1917, when the British finally say to Lord Rothschild, yes, we will help you build a national home for Jewish people in Palestine, right? Please tell the Zionist Federation that this is what we want to do, this is what we're willing to make happen. And we're going to use the best of our ability to help you create this place. Do us a favor, please, and ask the U.S. to join the war. And in fact, we did, right? 5 months later, in the spring of 1918, we did join World War I, and it ended in November later that year, right? So the United States of America became intertwined with all of this because the Rothschilds, we were financially linked to the banking systems. We had government contracts. Our railway systems were created because of them. And so this is how it became this thing where the British, the Rothschilds, and the United States together became the finance and the backing to the Zionist Federation and the Jewish Zionist Agency that desired to build a national home for Jews in Palestine. But by the time we get to that, folks, it's long after. They've considered a proposal for East Africa. They've considered a proposal for Argentina. They even talked about putting it in part of New York that never happened. So the end result being Palestine it was great to be able to tie it to a religion. And maybe that is how they sold it to people, right? Because Christians were backing a Jewish Zionist movement. But that's not the crux of it. Good morning, Baruti. So hopefully that makes
Dani,
sense, Susie.
I need to ask you something. Do you teach anywhere?
No.
I love it.
On TikTok. Yeah.
Probably, I don't know what the money income coming in is. Probably make more than most teachers in public schools or colleges, but I'm here for it. I'm loving it.
I appreciate
the
it.
history lesson.
Yeah, we are here. So right now, I'm not everywhere. I'm normally everywhere. Today, I'm on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. I didn't bother with Substack and or Instagram or Twitch today, but I'm 3 places today. So
yeah, you're very knowledgeable, very well spoken. I love your history, so keep it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, so folks, appreciate it. Thanks, Annie. And so that's how I'm able to connect the dots, right? When I go in and I look at what is the common denominator, every time it keeps coming back to the money. Every time it keeps coming back to finances, but it also benefits Europe. It also benefited the Brits, right? Because the reality is, folks, who were the people that committed violent acts against Jewish folks? Okay, Susie, sounds good. So when you think about that, it was Christian Europeans. Palestinians did absolutely nothing to the Jewish population. Okay, Cam, sounds good. This was Europeans. And so my question is, why should Palestinians pay for the quote unquote sins of Jewish people? Because here's what people need to understand. There are Jews in Palestine. There were Jews in Iraq. There were Jews in the Middle East. They didn't feel like they needed to go anywhere. They didn't feel like they needed to do anything. Why? Because it wasn't the Muslim population that was hurting them. Oh, I would love to do that, Baruti. Love to do that. Thanks, Big Daddy D. Appreciate you. And so that wasn't the thing. It was literally, I'm just saying, right? Abusaraj, did you want to tie that into anything? Or you good? I want to make sure I didn't skip over you. Right, 100%. With everything that's going on in the request, I can't tell who's who or what's what. So, for example, I don't know Sababa and whether that's, yeah, I know he might. So I don't know whether Sababa is Palestinian or something else. Okay. So let me just back up for a second so that folks understand something. Good morning, Petal. Oh, is that what it is, Sue? Thank you for letting me know. See, y'all know. That's because y'all be on this app going to other places. This girl right here does not. When I am done on here, I am not often in other places. So yeah, when people talk about, why don't you talk to somebody else? I don't know who them people are.
Dani, drop me down. I just clocked in. I was boosting.
Thank you, Shantae. Thanks, St. Bart. I appreciate that. Right. And so thank you, Prince, for bringing that up, because it's something that I brought up earlier. I say this quite often, and I want to make sure that I reiterate it again. Okay. Judaism, Jewish people are not synonymous with Zionism. Zionism is a political ideology that there should be a national home specifically for Jewish people. I have my water here and I've been taking a little bite of my Belvides as we're going along. Thanks for checking on me. So just so that everybody understands this, there are Jewish Zionists. There are a shit ton of Christian Zionists, but Judaism is not equivalent to Zionism. They are not the same thing. And I would ask anybody that considers themselves a Zionist and your perspective is, oh, I believe in a national home for Jewish people. My question would be, why don't other groups of people that have endured the same type of atrocities, why don't they get this same support for this national home for themselves? Why don't they get that? Why don't they get the same finance? Why don't they get the same protection? Why don't they get the same backing? Why don't they get the same recognition? Why don't those other groups get that? Why is it that out of every group, it is only the Jewish people that are supposed to have this national home just for them? And I think the other thing that bothers me about this is I don't understand why Jewish individuals would want to participate in nationalism, because it was nationalism that was actually harmful to you to start with, right? It was the nationalism in Russia. It was the nationalism in other countries that was actually bad for you and casted you as a permanent outsider, as a permanent foreigner. So why would you want to create your own nationalist type agenda unless you intended to have other people always be the outsiders, always be the foreigners, never have the same as you? Just wondering, why would you want to replicate the thing that was harmful to you? Just saying. I saw you say that a minute ago. Let me check it out because I don't know what that is. Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. So, I missed what was said in here. Give me one second. Well, what we're talking about was about way before the H cost, way before that. All of this is, I mean, we are talking decades before that. So, and I want to say this for people who may be, good morning, Cheryl. If you are new to me, something that you should really understand about the way that my space works, okay? Number one, this is a discussion space, not a debate space. Number two, if you are not respectful, you won't last long. And number three, you don't ever tell me what to do. I want to be clear so that I say that. You don't ever get to tell me what to do. It is never let me up. It is never, well, answer this. It is never any of that. Right? You can say, well, I requested. That's fine. And you might be requesting until Jesus comes back. So just so that we're clear, I only ask for 4 things in this space, guys, and they are very simple. I ask that you be respectful. I ask that you do not use slurs of any kind. I ask that you don't spam my comments, and I ask that you don't type in all caps, because all caps are for my moderators and my folks that are vision impaired. That's not hard. To be respectful, to not use slurs, to not spam comments, and to be respectful of people with vision disabilities. That should not be difficult. And if it is difficult for you, then you are probably someone I don't want to have a discussion with. So I just want to be clear about that. I don't know what spaces you might be used to, but you are in a different one today. Good morning, Ageless. All right. I'm going to put some of these documents in the link tree as well, so that you can read them the same way that I have. And then what I'm going to do is I will, including the diaries, right? So I'm going to tell you the places where some of the information came from. So one of them is just Britannica. Imagine that. Imagine me just looking at an encyclopedia. But I did, because again, I wanted to absolutely I just want facts, right? So I wanted to just simply look at, like, without the extras, what are the facts about whatever happened, whatever happened. Yeah. So anyway, so all of this, for those of you guys who aren't familiar, right? So 1896, I got you, Carla. So in 1896 is when Herzl first published his pamphlet called the quote unquote Jewish State, right? And he proposed in that pamphlet a political question, right? Where he wanted Jews to be settled by a World Council of Nations, right? And then basically he got financing, he got backing, and they got countries on board, which is what happens in a lot of ways, right? I also looked at an article in the Smithsonian magazine that came out. It actually came out in 2023, where they just looked at the pogroms, right? And and even the wearing of the badges that went all the way through with the H cost and all of that, and the separation, which was something that I knew about but didn't know about, if that makes sense. I knew of but didn't know. And then I also looked at, I already told you I was looking at Jewish Action about the Uganda plan, which was actually Kenya. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Why did they get their own country? And the only thing that I can think of, folks, is the money. Like, literally, I don't believe that they would have been able to get anything close to what they have today had they not gotten the backing of the Rothschilds. Without the money, honey, what happens? I just don't believe that it happens without the money, right? Yeah, the British made what agreement? Are you talking about the Balfour Declaration? Is that what you're talking about? Because I think what people have to understand is, before that, so the Brits, the way that reading all of this and learning all of these things, like, immediately in my soul, what I feel is like, fuck the Brits. Like, when I realized everything that they were doing at that time, right? Taking over parts of Northeast Africa, when I look at them promising the Arabs that if they revolted against the Ottoman Empire, that they would recognize and help uphold the independence of Arab countries, including Palestine, with the exception of Egypt and Syria, if they just helped overthrow the Ottoman Empire, right? So that's the deal that the Brits made, right? That's the deal. And so it's just really wild to me, because I think about the Brits and the United States in Iran in 1953, right? Organizing a coup to ruin their democracy. It just is wild to me when I look at all of the things that the Brits were doing. So if people aren't aware, the Brits made a deal with the Arab nations back in 1915-ish, okay? And this was, hey, if you guys being the Arab countries that were under the Ottoman Empire, if you guys help overturn your government, right? if you guys upend things, if you rise up against the Ottoman Empire, we will recognize your independence with the exception of Egypt and Syria, because they cannot say that they are like entirely Arab or whatever, right? With the exception of those two places, we will recognize and we will uphold your independence. That's what the Brits told them. And then they turned right around and in 1916 made a private deal with the French. So then the Brits and France make another agreement known as the Sykes-Picot Agreement, P-I-C-O-T, right? And that agreement is the two of them deciding how they're going to divide up these Arab nations that they just said that they could do, right? I got you, Prince. And so, which of course, so if I am, if I am an Arab living in the Middle East, which it's not even the Middle East, that's just some shit that we call it because it was in the middle of the East. If I am one of those people, I have zero reason to believe or trust anything that is done by the West, right? Because all we do, which is similar to the United States and what the United States has done with Native Americans, is break our damn word every damn time, right? Well over three. I did not double tap my screen. Thank you very much. I touched the front of my screen and my phone thought I double tapped the back and took a screenshot, whatever. But here's the thing, like, look at the way that the United States of America has broken our word and the treaties that we've kept with Native Americans, like hundreds upon hundreds of times. Why should anyone trust them? And what's wild to me is when I see so many people right now in the US talking about how much Iran lies and whatever. And I'm thinking, do you know where the fuck you live? Do you know what country you live in? Do you know any history about the United States of America or the Brits or Europe? Because there should be, yeah, I think he is, Carla. There should be, like, literally, just so people understand. But do you know what I believe that comes to be frank? I believe that position is so easily sold amongst the West because those are brown people. Because those are brown people. So, Mondo, when you say to me Iran unalived 100,000 people, I want you to go ahead and get off this app and go add up how many people the United States of America has unalived and come back to me in about a week when you're done. That's what I want you to do. I just want you to go and tally up all the people that the United States of America has unalived and then come back to me. It's going to take your ass a while, though. I hope you got like PTO or vacation time you can take, because you're going to have some time. You're going to have some time. Okay, that's what I thought. It is, Deborah, it is. Yeah, it's going to take some time. So, listen, folks, let me just be clear. So, what I have the ability to do, and what I highly recommend that all of us develop the ability to do, is to be able to acknowledge the good and the bad that exists within every situation in every country and every person. And what we ought to be able to do is acknowledge where we have done someone wrong without saying, oh, well, they did this bad thing. Being wrong to them, right? Doing something wrong to them has nothing, you cannot justify it based on something else that they did. Absolutely not. So, PJ Perry, when you say, how do we fix this? What part of this are you talking about? Because to me, there are different steps in fixing this. But Israel didn't buy the land, Wizzle. They didn't. That's the thing. Israel didn't buy the land. So, Wizzle, when you say or were appointed to it, by whom? And certainly not by Palestinians. And that's whose land it belonged to. Right? So you can't appoint someone to someone else's land. But it didn't belong to the Brits. It did not belong to the Brits to give to anyone else. So I want to back up for just a second. And this is the way that I describe it. Let me just see. Let me see if I can share this with you all, and because this is the example that I give. So Wizzle, I want you to, for a minute, imagine that you have your house in your neighborhood. Okay. I do not own your house or your neighborhood. I live in a different state. Okay. And so here's what happens is I, in my other state, have a friend, and that friend said, I would like to have a house in part of Wizzle's house because Wizzle's house is cool. And I say, because they believe that they used to live on that land a long time ago. And even though they don't actually have any ties to your house, and it's your house right now, right? They say, yeah, but at one point in time, however long ago, somebody that is somehow whatever, right? It belonged to them. So I want to have part of Wizzle's house. And I say to Wizzle, so listen, we overturned your HOA and your house is not up to code. So here's what I'm going to do, Wizzle. I'm going to come to your house. Okay. And I'm going to help you bring your house up to code for the new HOA because you don't have everything that you need to operate as a house. You know, you don't have the right plumbing. You don't have the right fixtures, it's not up to code. So it's going to be called the Dani mandate. And because of the Dani mandate, I am now going to come and help you bring your house up to modernization. And I'm going to bring my friend with you, but I'm not telling you that I'm bringing my friend. I'm just going to bring my friend. So me and my friend show up and we come to your house and I tell my friend, listen, you can have this bedroom, this bathroom, and this part of the kitchen. Now listen, I know the rest of the house is really nice, but this is all you get to have. But just in case you want something else, here are some weapons. I'm going to train you how to use these weapons. Hold on, I'm finishing. I'm going to give you some weapons. I'm going to teach you how to use these weapons. I'm going to make sure that you are well armed and well trained while I tell them I'm going to help fix up their house and build their infrastructure and bring their house up to code. Right. And while I'm there, the friends that I brought with me start to pick a fight with you and they push you out of part of your living room too. And you scuffle back and you fight back, right? But they have the weapons and they're trained to use them because I gave them to them. So they push you a little bit out of your living room. And now there's a skirmish taking place. And I have set a date that I have to leave. And so I tell you, I'm going to leave on this date. And I tell them that too, right? So then I say this. I say, listen, before I leave, good morning, Ronnie. I say, before I leave, can we have a truce, right? And Wizzle, you say, you know what? I'm actually open to a truce. And the friends that I brought, that I armed, that I trained, they say, nah, we can't. We can't take your truce because we have a moral obligation to take this whole house because we believe that it used to belong to our ancestors at some point in time. So we want this house. It doesn't matter that it's Wizzle's house today. We just believe that it's our moral obligation. I don't know whose morals, but it's their morals that say, no, we don't want a truce. And I say, oh shit, we're in trouble because here's what's going to be the problem. We have given my friends, right, weapons, and we've trained them and we've given them part of your house, right? That's what we've done. And now they want to take more of it by force. And we're like, oh no, because here's what might happen. What might happen is the other neighbors that live in Wizzle's community, those other neighbors might help Wizzle come back and fight against our people that we brought to his house because they're Wizzle's neighbors and they like Wizzle and they realize it's an unfair fight because we armed and equipped our friends. And so if the neighbors come, then we might really be in trouble, because if the neighbors come and they help Wizzle, we might not be able to get oil from this neighbor. We might not be able to get gold from this neighbor. We might not be able to get this from this neighbor. We might not be able to do any of that, right? And so that could be a problem. So what we need to do is we need to cut some deals with some of these neighbors, give them a little something, and just appease them. And then I leave you, Wizzle, in your house, all by yourself, to worry about my friends that I brought, that I gave weapons, in your house. And let's just say they keep taking more and more of your house, Wizzle, until you are finally relegated to 2 bedrooms in your house. And there are guards that stand outside your house, Wizzle. And those guards determine if you get to leave your house, if you get to leave your bedroom, if you get to get food, if food gets brought to you. They get to determine how much water gets brought to you in your bedroom. They get to determine everything about you in your 1 bedroom in your house. Now, let's just say that you've been in this bedroom for like 70 years, right? And while you've been in this bedroom for 70 years, you started to MacGyver some shit. You went into your bathroom, your closet, and you found like a few things that you could make into a weapon. You went into your bathroom and you found some things that you could make into a weapon. Let's just say that after 70 years, you come out your bedroom and you kick some people's ass. And it just happens to be, right, that the people that I originally brought with you, these people now have kids, and there's other people there. And you fight back after 70 years. And even though the people that are there 70 years later aren't the original people that drove you into your bedroom, right? And so innocent people get but are you wrong, Wizzle, for ever fighting back for reclaiming your land, that your house that people took from you? No, they didn't. That's the point, is the neighbors didn't come. That's the point. The neighbors did not come. It was your house, Wizzle. We just agreed that in the beginning. It was your house. If you were living there, it was your house. You were living there, it was your house. So for all of you guys that want to act like Palestinians didn't live in Palestine, they literally, so let me tell you how we know it was Palestine. Let me tell you how we know it was Palestine, and how everybody in the whole fucking world knew it was Palestine. Do you want to know how we know? Let me tell you how we know it was Palestine. Well, then you're wrong, Wizzle, because it was. And here's how we know. Because here's what Herzl, Lord Rothschild, Lord Balfour, here's what all of them said, is a national home for Jews in Palestine. So if Palestine didn't existed, they would have said a national home for Jews in the Middle East. They didn't say that. They said the national home for Palestine. And before they called it Palestine, they called it Philistine. And before they called it Philistine, they called it something else. Like there's a whole slew of names that all end up being Palestine. I don't know why y'all want to act so hard-headed about this. Y'all want to act like all of a sudden, miraculously, it became Palestine out of fucking thin air. No, it's always been Palestine. Stop acting like you don't know that. And can I just tell y'all this? Just because white people didn't call it Palestine doesn't mean it wasn't Palestine. Just so we're clear. See all of these names over here? This is the history. This is Palestine. This is Palestine. You see that? These are the names. This is Palestine. Y'all can't see it over here, but I'll share it. This is not a thing. It's the same place. I can't scroll, Scotty, because I put it on the it's, TikTok, they don't let you. Hold on, let me see if I can use a different thing. Give me a second. Yes, I can. Give me a second. Blah, 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 blah. Let me try to do this. Will it let me do it on a live? It won't let me do it on a live. I'm trying. It won't let me do it. Okay, give me 1 second. I know it wouldn't let me do it on a live. Okay, let me try it again, y'all. Damn. It was on my hand. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try it again. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. There. Look at that shit. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Look at that. Not me figuring out something new on TikTok today. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Look at that. I wish my ass had a bigger hand, y'all. I'm stretching my fingers out. See that? That's Palestine. And I believe it existed. And look, it's in the Bible. Look at that. Exodus 13:17. The Philistines. Okay. Now, I hope y'all good now. Okay? I hope y'all good. And I think what you have to ask yourself is, why do you work so hard? Why do you work so hard to not to try to tell a people in a place they didn't exist? You're welcome, Terry. Hey, Marilyn. Yeah, you're welcome, Nance. Right? And no matter how much you say a thing, that doesn't make it true. You have to understand that, right? Just because thank you, Slick Nasty, just because you say something doesn't make it true, no matter how many times you say it. You cannot make it, you can't say just because you say something, some people did not exist. Or just because they didn't recognize lands and borders and laws the way you do, that they didn't have it. You can't do that. And this is what the Western world has done for a long time. This is what the Western world has done for a long time, y'all. Listen, Africa did not have borders. They had tribes that existed in different places, right? But Africa didn't have that. It was Europeans. It was the Western world that decided to have a whole ass conference in Berlin and scramble up Africa and decide that different Western worlds got to take ownership of it. I know, I've always said Jews have lived there. What's wrong with you? I said Jews live there, Christians live there, and Muslims live there. I have said that. And I have clearly said that Zionism does not equate to Judaism. Okay, so Wizzle, you said Israel has a right to exist. That's, again, you can miss me with the Hasbro, buddy. Tell me one time in this live when I said Israel doesn't have a right to exist. They already fucking exist. They just don't have the right to exist on somebody else's land that wasn't given to them. And they damn sure don't have the right to kill 20 or 30 thousands of children for their existence. They damn sure don't have the right to count calories for people and decide if they eat. They don't have the right to grape Palestinian prisoners like their government says they do. That's what they don't have the right to do. Miss me with every bit of that. Miss me with every bit of that. Does Israel have the right to exist? What does that even mean? Do we ask that question of anyone else? Do we say, does Sudan have the right to exist? Do we say, does Europe have the right to exist? Do we say, does India have the right to exist? No, we don't. That's a dumbass question. People have the right to exist. People have the right to exist. Governments and countries, period. That's the wildest shit ever, y'all like to say. Israel has the right to exist, but Palestinians don't. Palestinians don't. I don't care. Israel don't have to end their prayers with death to anyone because nobody is unaliving Israel. That's the dumbest shit ever. Let me tell you something. If I lived in Iran, let me just be very clear about something. I'm going to say it really clear. If I lived in Iran and the United States of America and the British had overturned my democracy, they had made it so the legislation that we passed to nationalize our oil, and they had overturned that and allowed the Western country of the Brits to keep stealing our resources, and they had installed a violent dictator called, he was the Shah, and they installed him as the prime minister, right? And if I lived in Iran and that guy told me that I could no longer practice my faith the way that I desired to, and that I needed to be okay with Westernization, and if that country, the United States of America, had used their CIA to create the Savak, one of the most violent, oppressive police states that existed, to terrorize the people of Iran if they disagreed with the Shah. If I lived in Iran and as a result of that, as a result of the United States' interference and the British's interference in my country, there was an Islamic revolution where we also endured horrible things, I would wake up and say, death to America too. Because they have been suffering since 1953 because of us. Because of us. And because of the Brits. If we had minded our business and stayed the fuck out of Iran, they would be fine. They were a functioning democracy until we interfered. The United States of America has never been about spreading democracy. We shut down democracies when they do not work for us. And we've done it more than once. I have given you list after list after list after list. Whether it's Hawaii, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Nicaragua, whether it's Haiti. And we do that shit in the global South and the Middle East because they are black and brown countries. And then the very people that we're busy telling you are terrorists today are people that we funded, financed, and did whatever with when they suited our interest. That's what we did. Good morning, William. All right. The United States of America funded Saddam Hussein. Why? Why? Yep, sure did do it to Gaddafi in Libya. Why did we finance? What's up, Frozo? Why did we finance Saddam Hussein? So he would fight Iraq. And at the same time, we were arming Iraq. We were selling Iraq weapons. Oh, I know Israel funds Hamas. Right. Of course. Like, that's just like, those are just facts, folks. Yeah, we sold Iran. We gave Iran like $700 million. worth of weapons and arms in the 60s and 70s under the Shah. And American sailors were killed by Israel in 1967 on the USS Liberty. And American sailors were killed by Israel in 1967 on the USS Liberty. Here's what we're about to do today. Hey, LJ. So here's what we're about to do today. Hold on. I got something for y'all. Give me 1 second. Is this going to give me all of them? Give me 1 second. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I want to make sure that both my sources have the same 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, because they don't have all of them. You have... Sorry, hold on. I need to make sure I have the right number of Americans. I want to make sure I have the right number of Americans that that Israel has killed. That's what I want. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm going to start right here. Oh, wait, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. All right. You guys ready? I actually want to... So we're going to start with Furqan Dogan, born in Troy, New York. 19-year-old Furqan was shot and killed by Israeli commandos who stormed the Gaza Freedom Flotilla ship Mava Marmara in international waters on May 31st, 2010. No one has been held accountable. Jacob Flickinger, a dual U.S.-Canadian citizen, 33 years old. Jacob was killed by an Israeli drone strike on a World Central Kitchen convoy in Gaza while delivering humanitarian aid on April 1st, 2024. Kamas Ayad, a resident of Chicago, Illinois, 40 years old. He died of smoke inhalation during an Israeli settler arson attack in the town of Silwad in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on July 31st, 2025. Mohammed Shaldan, born and raised in Miami, Florida, 16-year-old Mahmoud, was shot 4 times by Israeli soldiers at a checkpoint near Ramallah in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on February 26, 2016. Mohammed Kandor, born in Hollywood, Florida, 17-year-old Mohammed was shot in the head by an Israeli gunman while driving with his cousin near the town of Badou in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on February 10th, 2024. Omar Assad, a 40-year-old resident of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 78-year-old Omar died of stress-induced heart attack after Israeli soldiers handcuffed, blindfolded, gagged, and left him at a construction site in the village of Jiljilia in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, January 12th, and it messed up his thing. Hold on. I have this one over here too. January 12th, 2022. Orwa Hamad, born in New Orleans, Louisiana, 14 years old. Orwa was shot and killed by Israeli soldiers during protests in the town of Sawad in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on October 24th, 2014. Rachel Corey, resident of Olympia, Washington, 23-year-old Rachel was crushed to death by a Caterpillar D9 bulldozer. By the way, it's the United States of America that sends those to Israel. We just passed legislation to send some more last week. Last week, those Caterpillar D9 bulldozers, those come from us. So we sold Israel the Caterpillar D9 bulldozer that an Israeli soldier used to drive over Rachel Corrie because she was standing in front of it to prevent the demolition of a Palestinian home in Rafah on March 16th, 2003. Safala Musaleh, the resident of Tampa, Florida, 20 years old, was beaten to death by Israeli settlers in the area of the town of Sinjil in Israeli-occupied West Bank, July 11th, 2025. Shireen Abu Akleh, I have watched this video more than once, more than twice. She was a member of the press. She was a childhood resident of New Jersey, 51 years old. She was shot in the head by an Israeli sniper while reporting on the Israeli army raid in Jenin refugee camp in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, May 11th, 2022. Tafiq Abdel Jabbar, born and raised in Gretna, Louisiana, 17-year-old. Tafiq died after being shot at from Israeli settler and military vehicles while driving to a picnic in the town of El Mazraz al-Sharika in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, January 19th, 2024. Sorry if I mispronounced the names, y'all. Nasrallah Abu Sayyam, Philadelphia-born 19-year-old Nasrallah was shot and killed by Israeli settlers who invaded the village where he lived, Makmas, in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on February 18th, 2026. Amir Mohammed Sadar Rabi, born in Saddlebrook, New Jersey, 14-year-old Amir was shot and killed by Israeli soldiers in the town of Termus, Aya, in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on April the 6th, 2025. Asinyor Azgi, and I can't pronounce her last name. Y'all, I'm trying. She's a resident of Seattle, Washington, 26 years old. She was shot and killed by an Israeli sniper as she peacefully protested at an illegal Israeli settlement near the town of Beta in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, September 6, 2024. So that is a list of about 14 Americans killed by Israel. And that's before I even talk about 1967 and the 34 sailors, active duty Navy sailors that were killed by Israel. So here's what I want you to miss me with. Do not talk to me about any other country that unalives Americans, because here's what I know. When other countries unalive Americans, we bomb them. We retaliate. We retaliate against every country except Israel. We retaliate against every country except Israel when they unalive Americans. And that is not because they are the national home for Jews. That's not it. It has nothing to do with being Jewish or Jewish people. None of that. This is about something entirely different. This is about a political agenda and money. And what I see people with a political agenda and money doing what they've always done, using religion to get whatever the fuck they want. That's what I see. It's how we got drug into this in the first place. So, but Nana, for me, it doesn't even matter, because to me, like, I just want people to take, well, so Teresa, this is what I'm saying. It's not even about what Israel has on the USA. We went over this last week, and I talked about it earlier today. The United States of America got into this Zionist issue with the British because of the money that we were indebted to the Rothschilds and the banking system. Our government loans that established the United States of America, our train systems, the subway system in New York, our financial debt to them is how we got into that. The point that I really want folks to understand is that every bit of this is important. Every bit of this is important, and it impacts your daily life, whether you recognize it or not. Whether you guys understand this or not, when pro-Israeli lobbies control the majority of Congress, it's a problem. And when foreign lobbies are not required to register as a foreign lobby, that's a problem. When a foreign country PAC talks about 96% of the people that we endorse got elected in 2024, that's a problem. And it's not just AIPAC. So AIPAC is a political PAC, but there's also J Street, there's also NORPAC, right? But there's also non-political PACs that are just as dangerous. Kufi, Christians United for Israel, is ridiculously dangerous and repulsive. John Hagee, I cannot wait for the day when Jesus looks at you and says, "Get thee out of my face, I do not know you." I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the day when Jesus looks at John Hagee and says, "Yeah, nah, bruh, I don't know you. You never knew me." Yeah, I don't desire to work for to run for office, Jennifer. I get asked to do that a lot. And I don't. So like what I prefer is my ability to impact the people, right? So for example, TikTok's probably mad at me today because of the subject matter. Typically, I have more folks in here, right, when I'm doing this. But we actually organize outside of TikTok. So we have Google Meets. We have graphics that we share. We go door knocking in our communities. We actually do like grassroots activities to share information with our neighbors to generate and cultivate conversations and connection in our community, because I believe that that's what it's going to take. It's very hard for average folks to jump on the internet and know what's true and what's false. So what I believe is that if we begin talking to our neighbors, right? If we begin sharing information, if we begin having conversations that isn't Republican or Democratic, right? But it is information that people need to know, then that's how we build community and connection. And then that's how we move forward, right? Oh, I love that, Carla. I love that. So for people who don't know what that looks like, I'll show you just very briefly. Let me see if I still have it pulled up, and I might not because I've just been doing a shit ton of work. But hold on, Jennifer, I'm going to show you. So let me tell you how I get here. All right. So listen, folks, because this part's important. We did not get here overnight, and we will not be able to fix it overnight. And we have to do things in a step-by-step process. I'm going to share with you what to do. I'm going to show you. Okay. So I teach something. Welcome back, Cam. So listen, I teach something where we talk about the 3 circles. All right. And y'all know me, I'm visual. All right. So I'm just going to show you real quick. I don't know what I did with my Sharpie. I got it. All right. So listen, folks, y'all, this part's super duper important. Okay. Because I hear people all the time. The only reason I did this shit and I still do this is because I believe in people. I really do. I think most people want the same thing, folks. Most people want the same things. It is the lies and the fuckery that just kind of breaks everything apart. And then here's the other part. Here's the other part, folks. This is my personal belief. I believe that most people, the anger that you see and the hatred that you see, it's because that's the surface emotion. It's the stuff that's underneath it. People are hurt. People are tired. People are hungry. People have been traumatized. We have been in the most hateful political rhetoric for the last decade. 10 years straight. That's all we've had is 10 years of bullshit and hatefulness and division. For 10 years. That's what we've had, right? And then in the middle of that, we had a damn global pandemic, and they managed to politicize even that. They managed to politicize even that. And so people are just torn apart. So this is what I share with people on how we deal with this. This is the only way I know how to deal with this. So follow me. This is circle number 1. All right? Circle number 1, let me take down my backdrop for just a second. And Jennifer, thanks for asking me this question. So listen, circle number 1. Circle number 1 is the circle of control. And what's the only thing that you can actually control? What's the only thing you can really control, y'all? You. You can't control anything else but you. That's it, right? Circle number 2. Circle number 2 is the circle of influence, all right? So I can't control Congress, but I can influence Congress, right? I can't control what's happening in Israel, but I can influence it. I can't control what my neighbor does or what my family does, but I can influence it, right? And then circle number 3 is anything else. Anything else, right? If I can't control it and I can't influence it, I don't need to be spending my time and energy on it. So what I challenge people to do is when you find yourself like overwhelmed and you're like, what the hell, right? What I share with people to do is write down like the top 5 things you've been talking about, thinking about, worrying about. Write down the top 5 or the top 10. And then I want you to put a 1, 2, or 3 beside it. And if the majority of your things are a 3, you're spending your time in the wrong places. 75 to 80% of your time and energy at a minimum has to be spent on circles 1 and 2. Because what is in my 3 is in somebody else's 2. What is in my 3 is in somebody else's 1. You follow me? So I can't control what the Supreme Court does, but Ketanji Brown Jackson, that's in her circles, right? So what I decided to do was come up with something for us, for people who are saying, what can I do? So I literally wrote a project. It's called Project for the People. The same way they wrote Project 2025, the same way they wrote Project Esther, I wrote Project for the People. And then I wanted to make it as easy for people to participate in as possible. And so I'm going to show you what I created. And this is just part of it. Okay. So let me show you guys. All right. So this is a database and I created this. Everything that you see in this is my work. And when people sign up to join, they get access to this Google Drive. So Jennifer, you're the person who asked me about running for office. So I want you to be the person that answers me first. What's up, Doug? So Jennifer, tell me your state and the number of your congressional district. Tell me your state and the number of your congressional district. Georgia, 10. I got you. So watch this. Guys, I did all of this work and I'm adding to it right now. So these are all 50 states. And I've done this for every district in every state. So I'm going to go to Georgia and I'm going to go to Congressional District 10. You can go to English or Spanish, whichever one works for you. And I'm going to go into it. And guess what? Here's what I can say. I can show you that in Georgia, District 10, okay, 53,000 people are projected to lose their Georgia families' Medicaid health insurance by 2034 because of this bill. And I can also show you that 27,000 children and adults are projected to lose some or all of their SNAP, also because of that bill. I've got it, like I said, in Spanish as well. So if I go back to Congressional District 10, and I'm going to go to Spanish. So what people get to do is people get to take this information out into their communities, not to tell people who to vote for, but to knock on the door and say, hey, neighbor, I live right down the street. If you know anybody that's on Medicaid, if you know anybody that's on SNAP, this information will probably be important to them. And you just leave it with them. And then you tell them, if you've got any questions, you can join us, right? And then I don't expect for people to just take my word for things. I really don't. What I want people to do is to be able to know that this is where, hey, Ja, these are all the sources for everything, every document that I create. These are the sources where you can get that information. I'm still making new graphics as we speak. So if I go to, give me a second, I'm going to go back to state. And I'm going to go to not North Dakota, but North Carolina. So I'll go to North Carolina and I'm just going to pick a district, District 4. Well, hold on. Why am I still, maybe I didn't do, hold on. I got to remember which is the last state that I did. I know I did Illinois. So watch, here's Illinois. I'm going to go to District 4. Why is my third graphic not in here? Hold on, y'all. My brain is like, did I not do Chicago? I could have sworn. Okay, there we go. So watch this. This is New Jersey. So get this. Because they didn't extend the premium tax subsidies for ACA, remember when they shut the government down? Specifically because of that, there are going to be 34,000 people in New Jersey District 4 that become uninsured because of that, right? So the idea for me is to share with people information that benefits them. I'll show you another one. That this one is a national graphic. So if I show you, look at this. So they are busy telling us that adults are on Medicaid and they're just lazy and they're just taking benefits and they're not working. Bullshit. Virginia, 70% of adults who get Medicaid work. North Carolina, 67. Pennsylvania, 72. Michigan, 71. West Virginia, 62. Tennessee, 68, Texas, 68, California, 68, New York, 71, Colorado, 75. So what's the point of this graphic? Regardless of whether it is a red, blue, or purple state, the majority of adults that are on Medicaid work. So why are we letting billionaires and the rich make us think that they're not? So this is another graphic. People can print this off and go hand it out in their neighborhoods. People can post this on their social media platforms. So the idea, when people say, what can we do? This is what we can do. And what people don't know is that it's this that's going to do it. It's giving people real information and saying, hey, here's where you can get it. Here are the sources. Here's the information. And so, listen, I just want to be clear about something, y'all. If you are not subscribed to me, and if you are not gifting me, nobody else is paying me to do this. Nobody. I don't have a backer. I don't have I'm not part of the DNC. I'm not even a fucking Democrat, right? I have voted Republican and Democrat in my lifetime. What I am is a humanist. I believe in human beings. I believe in human beings. So for me, it's about, and let me just tell y'all so Jennifer, if you go to my TikTok profile or any of the profiles, my link tree is there. The very top of my link tree, the very first link is to sign up and join Project for the People. That's the very first link. The only reason that I ask for your county, your city, and your state, I do not want your street address. The only reason I ask for that is because we actually have meetings and I send out emails so that people can get connected with people that is in their neighborhood, in their communities. Appreciate you, Nancy. Do you understand? So like the other day when we were on our Google Meet together, it was this past Tuesday, right? When we were together on Tuesday night, people literally were like, holy crap, you're in such and such county. I'm in this county. We could get together and we could do like a whole weekend of it where we can get together and we could all go into this neighborhood. We can all go to this county. We could all go to this place. And the next thing you know, we're planning in the summer for different people. Do y'all know that we have at least one person in 46 of 50 states. And we have over 318 counties represented. Y'all, there's only 3,100 counties in the whole country. We represent 10% of this country's counties, and we've only been doing this 5 weeks. Tomorrow we'll make 6 weeks. That's it. So for me, it is about information. It is about giving people real information so that you know. Now, I'm going to tell you something. For me, when it comes to foreign policy, there's very little difference on foreign policy between Democrats and Republicans. You can reach out, Nana, to anybody and they will help you. If you reach out to anybody, join my Discord. Folks, in my Discord, you can reach out. There's always someone there that is willing to help you. Always. But folks, listen, when it comes to foreign policy, there's very little difference between our members of Congress, especially with regard to Israel. Can somebody message Nana and give Nana the invite to the Discord? But when it comes to domestic policy, that's where the greatest difference is. So listen, I don't love everything about the Democratic Party. Far from it. What I do know is that from a domestic policy perspective, they are a better choice for American citizens, U.S. citizens. They are the better choice domestically. They are not perfect, right? We need to kick their asses. Quite a few of them need to go. But we've got to do this thing in stair steps. We've got to do this thing one point at a time. So for me, what I believe to be the greatest threat to this country is right now is Congress. The greatest threat to the United States of America is Congress because they have given away their power to this administration. When you have a Congress that is now given away their power and they're just doing whatever an administration wants them to do, that is extremely dangerous for the American people. So what does that mean? That means that the first thing that we must do is change the majority in Congress. How do we do that? There are 18 House seats that are up, and there are 22 Senate seats that are up this year in that midterm. Y'all got that? Do y'all want to know how serious I am about changing election outcomes? Do you want to know how serious I am about elections? Can I show y'all something? One more thing I just want to show you. I got one more thing for you. So for those of you guys like Jennifer and other folks that are new to me, and maybe you've never seen this, or you aren't new to me and you've still never seen it, because I don't expect you to be on every time I'm live, right? I want to show you all what I've started to do. And I started with the 12 states in this country that in 2024 had margins of 10% or less. And then I expanded it from there. So I took those 12 states and then I went through their election data for every federal election for the last 5 years. And I identified the counties that had 10% margins for the majority of those 5 years. And then I'm going to show you how we use that information. Are you ready? So look, Hip Hop Anonymous, it doesn't matter. Whatever I am, it's not for you. I have standards. I have standards. No matter what I am, I'm more than you can handle. Okay? All right. So this is the database. All right? So this is Michigan. You'll see Wisconsin, Virginia, New Jersey, Georgia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Minnesota, Arizona, New Hampshire, New Mexico, right? You see that? Now, let's just say that you're in Michigan. I want to show you all what this looks like. I literally went through Michigan's data for the last 5 federal elections. Y'all see that? And then when you look at the House, right? When you look at the House results, you got to see which districts do those counties have in common. Got it, folks? Which districts do these counties have in common? And then you also see within these districts, what are the registered voters numbers not voting, right? Now watch. Then you do this. Then you scroll down and you can look at right here. We're going to start right here. So this is Michigan. This is the 2024 presidential election. The Republicans won the presidential election by 80,103 votes in 2024. Out of these 16 counties in Michigan, just these 16 counties, there were 47,000 people that voted third party. That is 59%. That is 59% of this deficit. And then registered voters not voting in just 16 counties was 1.1 million people. So you use this data to know how to target and how you can have an impact. You follow me? And then the second part is this. So for example, District 1, there's only 4 counties out of 16 that are in District 1. District 1 is considered to be really, really red. Considered, right? Well, the deficit was 101,000 in District 1 in Michigan. Well, guess what? Between voted third party and registered voters not voting, that was 53,000 people. That's 53% of the deficit. You follow me? So now, if I am running for Congress in District 1, I'm going to pay attention to these 4 counties specifically and the other ones that have margins that are 15% or less. Democrats are performing at plus 13 right now. And then all of a sudden, a district that has never been believed to be in play is all of a sudden in play. And you can do that in Wisconsin, Virginia, New Jersey, so forth and so on. So I'm so serious about changing midterms that I'm literally going through the election data, 5 years worth of data for all of them. Who said centrist Democrats? I didn't say anything about a centrist. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Pentanton. I never said a word about a centrist Democrat. What I've said is very clear, right? Is that the first priority is changing the majority in Congress. Right? So what does that mean? That means if there is a progressive that runs in the primaries and they beat the establishment Democrat, right? Listen to what I'm saying. That conversation wasn't for me. Okay. This is why y'all should be paying attention to me and not arguing with each other. But listen, okay? If there's a progressive that is running against, let's just say it's a Dem that's taken APAC or that's taken PAC money or whatever, right? If that progressive beats them, great. Then you can vote for that progressive when it comes time to do so in November. And if that progressive doesn't win the primary, if the centrist Dem, if the establishment Dem is the person who wins the primary, that's who the fuck you vote for. It is. Because the number one priority is changing the majority in Congress. so that we have some fucking checks and balances. Because then between 2026 and 2028, the rest of those establishment Dems are on the chopping block. They know that if they don't have their shit together, they're not going to get voted for again. They're not going to get voted for again. And so we do this thing in steps and in stages. So it centers around two things. It centers around community and conversations, and then winning elections. How do we win elections? By communities and conversations first and foremost. It's up and above everything else, folks. I bet you that if you walk into your church or your PTA meeting or your farmer's market and you ask them which people in your community do they want to not have access to food, they're not going to pick somebody. Who do you want? Who are you okay with losing their ability to buy groceries? They're going to say nobody. I want everybody to eat. Great, me too. Do you want everybody in your neighborhood to be able to see the doctor when they need to? The answer is yes, of course you do. Of course you do. Because you're a decent human being, and so am I. And that has to begin translating at the ballot box. They say it on social media, Nana, and you're not asking them to feed them. You're not asking them to feed them. You're saying, which one of your neighbors do you want to not have food anymore? People say a lot of shit on social media, but they don't show up that way in their neighborhoods. There is a disconnect between what happens in ballot boxes and what happens on social media and what happens in communities. And for anybody that tells me what is or what isn't possible, here's my question to you. Have you fucking tried it yet? I've not seen anybody try yet. I've not seen anybody try it yet. All the naysayers, those are the people that want you disengaged, that want you not part of the process. So I'm somebody that believes in possibility. Hands down, all the time. Anybody want to think things aren't possible? I literally organized the entire region of Northeast Tennessee behind me, behind their healthcare. There were people in that community that sat outside of a hospital with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on a public right-of-way from May 2nd of 2019 until January 13th of 2020, protesting for healthcare for their community. And we don't agree on hardly anything for the majority of those people. Don't tell me what is or isn't possible. We collected almost 30,000 local signatures and we drove them. 17 of us drove to Congress. We drove to DC. We met with the FTC. We met with those people in person. We met with 7 people in Congress. You think things aren't possible because you're not willing to do the work. Don't tell me what's not possible. Hey, Shawnee. Listen, do you all want to know the reason that I'm successful talking to those people? Because I actually give a damn about those people. Even if they don't like me, even if they hate me, even if they talk shit about me, I still believe they deserve to have good health care, and they don't. I just want to be clear. Your willingness to do good for other people cannot be dependent upon if they fucking like you or not. Period. I tell everybody this: people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. So Nana, my friend, just died because her husband, because of the premiums got raised, he had to switch to Champ VA. Champ VA could not get the medications that he needed. He just had a heart transplant 2 years ago. 50 years old. 50 years old. She hasn't been great. She's out of town this weekend, but she has not been great. Yeah, you won't see it just yet, Texas Red. I send out an email once a day to the new people. So when I get off here, I have a ton of emails that I still have to send out. I was not feeling good yesterday, and have had to go to the VA for the past 2 days. So, yeah. But she is connected with the national journalist though, to get things together. So folks, here's what happens when I am, well, let me just take a look right now, because I can do more than one thing at one time. Because I actually have to update. Something was happening when I was downloading everybody that had registered, and downloading it into Excel. I'm good, Black Kingdom. I'm good. Something was happening where it was messing up my list for whatever reason. And so I spent, yeah, they are fine with us dying, 100%. Like, I don't think people get it, right? As you see right now, as you see, oh, I don't know what I just hit. TikTok put something in my face and I went to move it. So listen, Nana, you gotta, okay, so listen, here's what I want you to do about that. You want to call in, and talk about that, because that should not be the case. So they had put together this interim final rule for a minute, about medications and all of that. So they should not cut his meds. So once Sunny is better, I can connect you with her, but she's not ready yet. So good morning, Miss Natasha. Yeah, Nana, you want to call in? Yeah, 100%. Folks, listen, all of this, they're in the Google Drive, Texas Redhead. And so there was an email that was sent out the day after our last meeting, Wednesday or Thursday. There was an email that was sent out that had a link to the Google Drive resources. So this is the difference, folks, between what I desire to do and maybe other content creators desire to do. Yes, it is great when there are lots of people in the room and there are lots of likes and shares and there are lots of gifts and all the things, or people using pay. All that stuff is great, right? And yeah, you just saw my hat. Yep. You're welcome, Wizzle. The other part, though, is to take that and mobilize it, right? It's to take all of that interest and all of that energy and then do something with it and empower people. A lot of people that I know feel like they feel helpless. They feel overwhelmed. Like, what can we do about it? I love that, Shawnee. I wore my hoodie yesterday until it got too hot. It was cool in the morning. Y'all know in the South we have like 5 different damn seasons all in one day this time of year. So that's what it looks like right now. I started out in a damn sweatshirt, and then I was in a t-shirt, and like all the things. So yay, I love that, Texas. You got it. Good. Okay, so let me show y'all. I have to update it today, but I'm pretty proud of this because this is what we've accomplished in 5 weeks. Okay, I want to show you guys. This is what we've accomplished in 5 weeks. Look, let me show y'all. This is our map. This is our map. Hold on, let me share it with y'all so y'all can see it too. This is our map. We have everybody and we have people in all of these states. We have people in all of these states. Isn't it crazy? We're only missing 4 states. We're missing North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska. Oh, I missed my star in Hawaii. I need to add my star because Hawaii has a star. Yeah, Virginia, Tennessee, like if this whole Northeast over here, and Texas is killing. I think Texas has like 54. But this is how many people have signed up to be part of what we're doing. And this is the part that is just really important, y'all. We can do something. We can make a difference. And it's not about, listen, have y'all heard me in everything that I've been talking about today? Have you heard me say anything about the president in terms of his name? Have you heard me bashing him at all today? No. Why? Because I'm tired of hearing about his ass. I'm so tired. He is not the problem. Congress is the issue. We will fix Congress first, and then we will take on the administration. So just telling y'all, Congress is the jam. So the next things that I'm planning as I continue to do all of this work is I got to finish the last round of graphics that I've started creating, right? You make sure that everybody is connected with their people because it's the most beautiful thing ever. But the next thing is to do all of the data and specific for the 18 seats, the 18 House seats and the 22 Senate seats. Imagine instead of talking about candidates, if you just talked about the issues of those regions. Where did I get my hat? Jen, they had this one at the VA. They had this at the VA when I was there on Thursday. I'd never seen this one before. So I got it yesterday. Not yesterday, Thursday. Yeah, I hadn't seen it either. I snatched it when I saw it. Like, I don't care about all the other ones. This one, I loved this one. I love that, Nana. Love that. Folks, this is the thing. Yeah, Fetterman's not up for election this year. Fetterman's not up for election this year, but next time we got it. So do you see what I'm saying, guys? To me, this is the work that actually matters, that's going to do something. This is the work that will be great, And so, by the way, if you didn't catch it, that's our slogan. Our slogan is making America truly great. No, Blue Honey Pot. Yeah, making America truly great. Because what I believe is that we've never been truly great. And we can be. We can be. I really think so. And the more you give people information, the less fearful they will be and the more empowered they will feel. And that to me is the goal. I want people to feel like they can do something. Yep. Candy Kiss, I bought the domain name. I got to get with Cam to help me get it all set up. I have to buy the hosting and then get with Cam so we can get the site set up. And so this isn't just a 2026 effort. This is 2026 all the way into 2028. I'm just saying. Y'all, we have come too far as a society to go back to who we are, to who we were. I need y'all to understand that you can't put it back in the jar. So again, so Terry, that's going to be about equipping them and giving them information, right? So one of the things that I want people to understand is that this is about. So let me just share with you a couple of things. One of the things that I don't say is that I'm going to educate you or that there are less educated people, right? Stop saying Trump loves the uneducated. It's demeaning and it's not going to make anybody want to be on your side or listen to you. Okay? Stop saying those types of things that other people say. Exactly. When we talk about how to do this movement, you take the information, the graphics, the Google Drive, all the stuff that I've created, and then you get into that. This is why we have workshops on how to have conversations. What words to stay away from? How do you get people to actually connect with what you're saying? All right, so listen, folks that have been with me a while, they know this. So I believe that there are things that I call the 4 pillars of policy. So I believe that every issue that someone says, every issue comes back to one of 4 things. Are you ready? It's the acronym. The acronym is he. There you go, Penny GF. Y'all got it. So what does the first H stand for? What's the first H? Healthcare. What's the E? What's the E? Education. What's the next H? They know. What's the next H? Housing. Yup. And what's the last E? Economy. You got it. Economic sustainability, economic mobility. Everything that people are concerned about comes back to one of those 4 things. And so we have to be able to address the issues in a way that relates back to those 4 things and in a way that is relevant to their lives. Nobody gives a shit if it's not relevant to them. So you have to make whatever your talking point is relevant to them, and it has to be realistic. Okay? I didn't say easy, but I said realistic. I didn't say without any work. I said realistic. Okay? And so it has to be realistic for the work that you put into it. Okay? Now, I'm a believer in this. I believe that when we have these conversations with people, right? So let's just walk through it. Are y'all ready? Let's walk through it. Let's do this together. All right, so let me show you. So let me share this with you guys over here. All right, I'm going to show you and we're going to do it together. Y'all ready? All right, so I'm going to turn my screen around and we're going to go through it together. So this is Project for the People, right? This is the database that I've begun creating for everybody with all of the graphics and all of the things. So I need to see one state and one congressional district in the chat. Somebody give me one state, one congressional district in the chat. This is where you guys get to be interactive with me. Ohio 15, Virginia 3, Virginia 9, Georgia 7. Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop there and I'll come get some more in just a second. So watch. Let's go. Whoever gave me Ohio 15, this one's for you. I'm going to run through a couple of different scenarios. So if I'm in Ohio 15 and I'm coming into your community, this is what I'm going to say. All right. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to knock on your door. Knock, knock, knock to your neighbor. You ready? Knock, knock, knock to your neighbor. And then this is what I'm going to say. Hey, listen, my name is Jen. You might not know me. I'm your neighbor down the street. Or I'm your neighbor. I live across town. Or I'm your neighbor. Da, da, da. It doesn't matter. Right? I'm Jen. I also live in this district. And I know that, that elections are coming up and people are wanting information. I don't even know that I would say that. I lied. No, it's, hey, listen, this is Jen. You may not know me. I'm your neighbor down the street. I ran across some information that is really important. If you know anybody that is on Medicaid or SNAP, do you? Yeah, you do. Never ask somebody, are they on Medicaid? Never ask them if they are on SNAP. That's none of your business. That's very intrusive. So what you say instead is, hey, do you know anybody that is on SNAP or on Medicaid? I've got some information that would be great for them. And then this is it. Ohio District 15, 32,000 adults and children are going to lose their Medicaid health insurance. Boom. You just give it to them. Here. And this is the one for SNAP. It's 20,000. You post this across your social media. When you post it in social media, you use the hashtag Project for the People. You use the hashtag Making America Truly Great, because that's our slogan, right? And then here's the last one. These are the folks that are going to become uninsured because the tax subsidies were not extended, right? And then all you say is, listen, so these are the things that you can give them. You can print them out, and then you can say, listen, if you have any questions about those things, or if you want to see the sources, because the sources are listed at the bottom of the graphics, then you can come, and then you can actually literally give out our flyers for how you join Project for the People. This is our flyer, folks. It's actually purple. It looks blue on my phone, but it's purple, right? And then they just scan the QR code. And these are the things that we do: online workshops, community organizing, free trainings, digital and printable resources, state and community specific. And then that's it. Yeah, so Sandy, that's what I'm doing right now is I'm working through it. But here's what I will do. I will record a couple of these and I will put them in the Google Drive. And I'll give a couple of different scenarios for people. Okay? So that's my, hey, I'm your neighbor, I just knocked on your door script. Okay? Because in my opinion, we should keep these things with us all the time, right? So let's do another one. Let's do a next one. I had Virginia 3rd District. So I'm going to go to Virginia. And I'm going to go to, whoops. I need to go, oh, wait, that's right. Virginia has multiple things because I did some other stuff for Virginia before. So Virginia, I'm going to go Congressional District 3 in English. And here we go. So let's just say this is in my car and I'm at my daughter, my grandbaby's ball game, right? Right? So this is going to be me at the ball game. Hey, listen. Hey, so oh my gosh, it's good to see you. Yep, the kids are doing ABCD XYZ. Oh, I don't know about you, but there's just so much going on. I feel overwhelmed half the time. Yeah, you too? Me too. So listen, I found some information that I found really interesting, and I wanted to see if you wanted to get a copy of it real quick. So this is some information about SNAP and about Medicaid, because there are changes coming in Virginia. And I just thought you might want to know whether you or anybody in your family or anybody that you know could benefit from it. So here you go. And by the way, this is the group. It's like this whole citizens group of us. We're just getting together to try to find like information that's important to us as people, because there's so much misinformation out there. So if you're interested in joining the group or getting additional sources, then here's the flyer for that. But here's the information on the SNAP and on the Medicaid. Let me know if you have any questions. Done. I'm at a ball game and I can still introduce it to people, right? This is 33,000 people are going to lose their Medicaid because of the one big barbaric bill. It's true. 30,000 are going to lose some or all of their SNAP benefits, right? And then these are the people that are going to become uninsured. And this part's important. These are people that had insurance. And specifically, because of those premium tax subsidies that they would not extend, these people are going to become uninsured. Right? And there's more of these graphics coming. Like I said, I created all of this in just 2 months, right? The graphics, I created the project in 2 months. Then I took a month to do graphics. So there's more coming, right? But everything that you see here was created by me for people. It takes you to, the link is on the website. The link is on the website. So it takes you to, I can show you the page that it takes you to, maybe. It takes you here, how we can work together to make America truly great. It takes you here. And if you play this like video that's on here, it's literally me sharing with people what the project is. And then it tells them to click and how to join the movement. If they want to read more, then they can read this little section right here. Right? And then they have an opportunity to join again. And then this is where they go to sign up. So that's where it takes them. Because I want people to know what this is about. Yeah. Katrina, did you have a question?
Hey, Dani.
Hey.
See, I just have a question.
Sure.
Is there any possibility that we could get like a donation fund for the printing? So like an account at Kinko's or any place that actually prints out all of these documents. I'm finding with my printer, it's so doggone expensive for the ink. And I think that's a huge hurdle. So if there's in our meetings or in talking with people, if there or anybody that wants to send coins our way for printing.
Yeah, that's true. I know, like Mama Dukes is saying, she does hers at the library because they're not expensive. Yeah, the local library is a really good place, and then Staples is like 80 cents.
I'm one of those people that's on food stamps. So
yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are. So yeah. So see, Tara said I use my library too. Do you have a local library that you can use?
Well, I'm 60 miles from town.
Oh, holy jeez.
I'm way out in the woods.
Okay, I got you.
Trees.
Yeah, I got
I
you.
have plenty of trees to hug. So,
yes.
But and I just found out I have a collapsed lung, and my diaphragm's paralyzed, and so I'm struggling. Even just getting to the doctor. So, but aside from that's I don't want that to be a concern. But the printing, I thought if there was a way that send us coins for printing.
Yeah.
That we're not actually asking anybody for money.
Right.
They're just support us.
Yeah.
If there's, or when we're talking to people, just say, this is great information and we need to really get it out. If you can make copies of my flyer, so to speak, or you sign up and then you'll be able to print them out. That way, I'm just trying to be creative of how when we talk with these individuals, and they get excited about it and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we could get together and see what we could do for printing. Or do you know anybody? Do you know of anybody that works at like Kinko's or any specialized groups, any nonprofits?
Nonprofits, it depends on how the work is done. Oh yeah, Blue Honeypot, that's a great idea. So Blue Honeypot said she can, like one of the Project for the People t-shirts, she would get a t-shirt for you that you could wear when you go into town. And then like when we have days of actions like we're doing this weekend and you're not going into town, just post them. All of these things you can use to post across your socials. You know what I mean? And make videos and things like that. So one of the things that I did want to say, you can send her a stack of business cards with the QR code. Love that. Okay.
Oh,
so if you are that's why you're doing the sticker on your car, Shawnee. Great idea. So yeah, Katrina, if you're not in the Discord, make sure that you get in the Discord. There's literally a channel in the Discord for Project for the People. And we can chat it up in there and figure out how we can get you equipped with the stuff that you need.
Perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Love it. Great question.
I appreciate, Dani.
Yes.
One more thing. Take a deep breath and take care of you. Go do your little bit of your craft and then come back.
Yeah.
I understand how difficult this is.
Yeah, it's a lot, but but it's good and it's for good things. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And here's another saying: there is no I in team.
Right. 100%. Yep. We got this.
That's what we are. We're a powerful team.
100%.
Together.
Yep. We are. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, honey.
Thank you, Katrina.
Take care.
You too.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So, and that's the whole idea. We want it to be energizing. So this link, I believe, is in the link tree. No, you're not allowed to say anything about my tabs. No, you are not. But let me just see. Am I in the right place? Can I do it like this? I don't know if that's the right. Oh, look at that. So this link is how you sign up in my link tree. This is how you get merch. This is the flyer that has the QR code in it. On the link tree, folks. This is everything that's on it. These are some new things that we just started talking about. As you can see, y'all, the link tree goes on and 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 on. It's very, 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 very extensive. So, but what I will do is I will put the link to this page, right? I will also put this link in there and I will make this the second link and it will say, and oh, by the way, hold on. Where's the link tree, y'all? Didn't I just have it up? Okay, I did. Okay, so look, at the very top of the link tree, do you see this little dude right here? This little dude right here is how you join my Discord. And if clicking it doesn't work, you can just copy the link. It's probably going to work for me if I click it. But see, and you'll get into the Discord. You'll get an invite. See that? And then you can just accept the invite. Okay? So that's how you join the Discord. It's this little controller doohickey up here. Okay, folks? I hope that's helpful. But what I will do is I will put a second link right here. I mean, I can, Carla. I'm happy to. You know, just once I do it, that's probably gonna be like the end of the live because it'll be the last thing I do. But I can do that. Oh, I love that, Candy Kiss. Yep, you just go to the link tree and it's right here. Okay. Right. That's the only thing, Carla. But yeah, so what I will do is I will make some videos, folks, that we'll give you like some introductions for some scripts. One of the reasons why I'm so hesitant about scripts though, is because I want you to just talk like you would normally talk to folks. And if you're nervous, just say, I'm nervous. Hey, listen, I hate doing this. I'm not really good at talking to people, but I've got some really important information that I just want to make sure that you know. And that I want to make sure that people in the area know, right? I am not good at this. I hate this. This is not my jam. And I just found out some information that I want everybody in our region to be aware of because it comes. You know what I mean? Oh, yay, Sandy. I'm glad you guys were able to do that. Does that make sense, you guys? So that's kind of my take on how to do these things, because that's all it is. You're really just trying to give them information that they don't know. You know what I mean? So, when I get finished with this live today, I will be, which was on the panel. Love that. Love that. I thought I saw Taz request up, but he's not in there now. But yeah. So, yeah. So does anybody, I love that, Snarly Sue. I love that you're all hype. Listen, one of the things that I would like for you all to not do, don't share the Google Drive itself. And the reason why is I need to keep track of who has access to it, right? And I need to be able to update our map and get people connected together. So please only share like the link about the project. Do not share the actual drive itself. Okay? Thanks, Slick. I appreciate it. Does that make sense, folks? So I have a lot of other graphics and emails that I need to do today so that I can get everything caught up. Wait. Do you mean in the mail? Do you mean in the mail? No, I did. I know what you mean now. And the answer is yes. I know what you mean now. And the answer is yes. Thank you. I know you guys are here to help, and I'm going to let some folks help. We might have like a graphics party, like a graphics Google Meet party in the next couple of days. Yeah, we may do that. Okay. So TikTok, you hang on for a second. Do me a favor, everybody that's on TikTok, make sure that you go up here to the red heart and grab your points. Oh yeah, wow, I've been on for 3 hours. And grab your hearts for me. No, that's not accurate, Jaybird. I would search your email, search your inbox, search your email, like your whole email, do the search function and type in Dani so that you have it. Okay. I appreciate you guys on YouTube and Facebook for joining in today. I will see you all.